Many times when Liberians come to the States, driving becomes an issue for them. So the train coming here will give people the opportunity to find better jobs, to be able to move around easily, and will cut down some of the costs that we incur on ourselves. Some of the older people, we got people who have to go for them and bring them to buy their groceries. Now, they can do it on their own. The Blue Line coming to Brooklyn Park, especially where we are concentrated, will be a blessing to most of us.
Hi, I'm Shalom Jawari. For the best in entertainment, I want you to lock down to KMTV. Yes, lock down to KMTV.
Indeed, for quality education, information, entertainment, and spiritual upliftment, lock down to KMTV. We are the model of online television in Liberia, and that's the reason why we are everywhere. It is a very unique movement in Liberia, though the rain is falling. But I love to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on your location. And welcome to today's presentation of the KMTV Morning Show here in Monrovia, West Africa, the Republic of Liberia. My name is Amos Thomas MOMO, and it is the 22nd of August 2023 this morning in Monrovia. And where you are, I want to say welcome. Let's have ourselves a wonderful, wonderful presentation this morning on the KMTV Morning Show. Just to acquaint you with the rundowns of issues we have on our plate this morning for discussion, you follow on yesterday, former Vice President Joseph Yuma Boakai appears on Truth 96.1 FM, our sister radio, and that interview was carried on lots of other community radio stations in Monrovia and out of Monrovia, where the former vice president accused the political leader of the All Liberian political party, Mr. Bernard Ure, of asking him in some days back of putting 15,000 men in the street to cause chaos. And according to the former vice president, he thinks he's very peaceful in his war. He said to Mr. Ure, well, that is not something that we should do at about this time. And so we'll bring you the excerpt to that. We'll talk about it later on. We will have this morning as our guest, Madam MacDella. She's the political leader of the Movement for One Liberia. We were to have her on last Friday, but it was not possible. And so this morning we'll be having a cross section of questions this morning with Madam MacDella. She will sit with us for the next 1 hour to talk those issues that matter. She comes from the Movement for One Liberia, and she will join us this morning on the KMTV Morning Show presentation with me, Amos Thomas Momo. So we'll bring you the excerpt to Mr. Boakai, the former vice president of Liberia, accusing Mr. Ure, and we'll also bring you the rebuttal from Mr. Ure so that we'll balance it here. And as it stands, the legislative press pool is to have an election comes up. That's August 25th, and that election will be held in the joint chambers that the tender at the Honorable House of Representatives. As it stands, we have two candidates that have completed their registration. Jero from Front Page Africa and Haji Masali of Spoon Network are the two presidential candidates. We have other candidates that are vying for different positions. And so the election will be held on the 25th after Flag Day, the 24th. And so campaign is in full swing. I think those from various sides have started getting involved, usually into campaign activities, to making sure that they can be that person who will lead reporters at the Honorable House of Representatives and the Honorable Senate there up Capitol Hill. So we'll talk about that. We're managing to have the Commissioner General of the Elections, Mr. Prince Moba joining us if possible. If not, we will just tell you exactly. I think you've been following. For those of you who are assigned at the legislature, it is an opportunity to form part of the event, and hoping that you can go and make a decision that will be in the best interest of reporters at the Honorable House of Legislature. And so this morning, like we always, since we resume our show, we've been talking about violent-free election. This October 10th election, we want a very free, fair, and transparent election. I'm I'm not sure it is time for chewing jobs, right? Well, leaders. The reason why people look up to you as leader is for decisions. They look up to you for solutions. They look up to you for creating a very enabling environment for all of your supporters who look up to you. But if you will get on national radio, for me, I want to be very clear here, right? Ambassador Boakai is my dad or my grandfather or whatever you may take it. The both of us are from Lofa. He's my kingsman. But I think on yesterday, the statement, it is not time for creating Pandora, right? Wherein you will go and say, well, this person is a warlord, this person. Get on the radio, discuss the issues, create the environment that Liberians will be able to tell you, say, well, this person, I think he's well suited. He's the best person that can lead this country at about this time. But if you will get on national radio, start to show jobs, tell the people, well, this person, we can't work with this person because this person wanted to put 15,000 men in the street to create chaos for our people. And I believe I'm a peaceful person. I think it is not something that we should be doing right now. We should be more focused, of engaging our people in every looks and corners of the country. We should be more focused in telling the people what are those things we will do when we are elected. Mind you, there's one candidate that I listen to, and I think many of our people who are vying for said position, most especially the presidency should follow suit, right? Is Reverend Ali Brown. He contesting as president of the country. When he got on national radio or get to any intellectual center, he will go quickly to the issue. He will not attack anyone. And I think these are some of the things we should get involved with. Attacking personalities in discussion national issue is far different, most especially in the opposition. Now, I have this pen, right? And you come in, you want to have this pen from me. I think you should be more focused on the individual that has the pen than the individual that just passing and wanting to get the pen. So the opposition, that's the reason why you giving more space to the ruling establishment, because all of you are in disarray. All of you are getting back at each other. It is not something that we should be involved with. We should be very focused on how we can get the person who have the bigger bread than the man who just have the crumbs of the bread. These are some of the things we are leaders. We as statesmen should be focused with. Should be focused too, instead of engaging ourselves into attacking personalities. You understand? Yesterday, when I listened to my own dad, Mr. Boakai, I feel that it is not a good sound for us as we move to this very difficult electioneering period. Though he have his right, he know exactly why he said. Why he said that. But I think he were to be very, very precise. He were to go directly to the issue and forgetting about Mr. Ure. Now, you and Mr. Ure had a marriage. There is some disenchantment in between, and the marriage is no longer. I think you should forget about Mr. Ure. Get straight to the issue. Tell the Liberian people, well, I am best suited for this position because of this. I have worked in these sectors. I work 40 some more years in government. I serve Ministry of Agriculture. I serve this ministry. And I think with the experience in national governance, I think I can be one of the best president of Liberia than this person, and that person. Just forget about that. You understand? This country is for all of us. No one owns a bigger portion in this country than any other person. The same right you have is the same right another person possess. So we should be very careful. This country is not for one person. That's the reason why when I listen to other people from different political as a sector, different political grouping, and creating serious space, like they own more space in the country. At times I say, well, this is the country we're in because our leaders are the root cause of majority of this problem we are facing today. Do you understand? And so now we were listening to Ambassador Boakai on yesterday. We listened to Ambassador Boakai on yesterday when he appeared on Truth FM. He was on Truth FM, and that interview was relayed or someone casted on several other community radios across Liberia. And I think Clarence Jackson was there, and other media personnel, and the interview was a great one. But why, trickled the public attention is when he made the accusation against Mr. Ure. It's an allegation because I was not there when Mr. Ure said what Mr. Boakai, said on yesterday. But I think in my mind, we should be more polite. We should be more professional in our discussion instead of attacking personalities. Because if we go about attacking personalities, mind you, that's the reason why the way the country is the way it is. Because those we depend on for direction, those we depend on for decision making, they are the same people that are creating this situation for us. The president of Liberia, President George Weah, will go to a political rally and attack a particular statement or lawmaker. The lawmaker too will go now and have his press conference and retaliate. The vice president will go to a particular place and say, well, we don't want this person, and attack this person. That person too will go to his or her press conference for rebuttal. And so if we continue in this hauling and pulling or for the lack of better word, personal attack on each other, where are we heading? I think we should be more involved into educating the Liberian people on what are those things you bring into the table. What are those things you think it is not working and you want to come change? What are those things Liberians should look up to when you are elected comes October 10th? I am well suited, I am best suited, I am educated, I have experience, I have been around for couples of time, and I think we can make a better leadership when we are elected comes 2023. Instead of attacking personalities. I think it's not something welcoming, and we as leaders should be very, very careful. I'm saying we because people look up to me too for direction. People look up to me for a decision making. So we are all leaders. So the best thing we can do is to tell our supporters, well, we need to do this, we need to do that. I listened to the Deputy Speaker of the Honorable House of Representatives, the Right Honorable Fudanti Kofa. He said, well, there is no big press, no small press. So no big leader, no small leader. When you have people you give that look up to you for direction, you are a leader. And so we'll go to the outset, beginning with Mr. Ure. Beginning with Ambassador Joseph Boakai, the former Vice President of Liberia, when he accused Mr. Ure of telling him some days back that it is necessary that we put 15,000 men in the street, according to Mr. Boakai in his words, and that was to create chaos for the suffering masses of Liberia. And he think he's a peaceful man. He hails from Lofa. His upbringing is not in that direction. And he said to Mr. Ure, well, we cannot do that. And so, no. These are some of the reasons why the disenchantment came about. Because according to him, Mr. Ure said he was not listening to him when he says something to Mr. Boakai. And so we'll listen to Ambassador Boakai, and following Ambassador Boakai, will be the political leader of the All Liberian Political Party. When we come back, we're going to take a short break. And right after the break, we set the stage for our guest. This morning, our guest will be Madam MacDella. She comes from the Movement for One Liberia. And she will be our guest. She will sit with us for the next 1 hour and we'll talk cardinal issue, most especially the ones that has to do with the best interests of Liberia. Madam Cooper will be with us this morning on the KMTV Morning Show. And now we'll watch for that asset with Ambassador Joseph Newman Boakai.
People, because Mr. Ure told me we can put 15,000 people in the street. I wasn't going to put 15,000 people in the street to kill people because people were armed. We heard at Coca-Cola factory, they were there waiting. Was I going to allow people to destroy this country, kill people because of me? No. Let them see it. The country. And I didn't want people, because Mr. Ure told me we can put 15,000 people in the street. I wasn't going to put 15,000 people in the street to kill people because people were armed. We heard at Coca-Cola factory, they were there waiting. Was I going to allow people to destroy this country, kill people because of me? No. Let them see it.
Liberia, Ambassador Joseph Yuma Boakai is the former vice president of Liberia, now standard bearer of the Unity Party, wanting to be president comes 2023. And so that was the voice, and that was the exact words from the former vice president, Ambassador Joseph Newman Boakai. Now, let's now watch and listen to what Mr. Ure said after he was questioned on the closing argument, one of our sister program here at KMTV. Listen to Ambassador, that's Mr. Ure. And so I think it is what our guys are getting set up to bring that accept. It is a bad moment. It is a horrible
President
moment.
Joe Boakai accused you, pretty much. That's how I see it. I don't know how you see it. Pretty much saying that you in 2017 you had advised him to destabilize the country, to put 15,000 people on the streets to kill people, because he said I was not going to put 15,000 people on the street to kill people, and that there were armed men at Coca-Cola factory waiting. Can you respond to the former vice president?
Look, Ben, and all of you on the platform, look, this is a sad day for Liberia. And it's a sad day because an elderly man running for the highest office of this country would blatantly lie on someone on national radio, only to score political points. Joseph Boakai is having illusions, and this is what is frightening. Joseph Boakai knows, as well as anybody else listening to this program today, that it's impossible to have put 15,000 persons around in the streets. And then arms, where would the arms come from? The entire armed forces of Liberia were under 2,000. Maybe the arms and ammunition he's referring to came from when he was chairman of local defense force.
Oh, okay.
This man must be fantasizing. Look, then, Joseph Boakai is having illusions, and this is what is frightening.
Okay.
Joseph Boakai knows, as well as anybody else listening to this program today, that it's impossible to have put 15,000 persons around in the streets. And then arms, where would the arms come from? The entire armed forces of Liberia were under 2,000. Maybe the arms and ammunition he's referring to came from when he was chairman of local defense force.
Oh, okay.
This man must be fantasizing. Look, then, worst case scenario, assume I had told Mr. Boyka what he said I did. Should he come on national radio and discuss what was said in private? Is this someone who wants to be president of Liberia? Is this someone we can trust to be president of Liberia? Look, then,
Wow.
Lord help Liberia. Talking about being ungrateful, this is the peak of ungratefulness. Was this not the same man I defended during the presidential debate? When Charles Brown came and Cummings were jumping all over him, I defended.
Mr. Ure, they're making a rebuttal to the statement from the Unity Party standard bearer and the former vice president of Liberia, Ambassador Joseph Yuman Boakat, when he appeared yesterday on Truth FM 96.1. And so right now, with no time, 2 weeks, we'll rush quickly to our guest. Our guest this morning is Madam MacDella Kopua. She's the political leader of the Movement for One Liberia, and she's have endorsed the candidacy of Ambassador Joseph Newman Boakat of the Unity Party, and of course, Mr. Jeremiah Kwan, Senator of Nimba County, and she will join us this morning, sit with us for the next 1 hour, 3 minutes to talk about those new dreams she has for Liberia, what interests her for now contesting and leaving to join the Unity Party, what is the stand of the MOL and the rest of other trending national issues or disagreement with this government and other issues will be discussed right here on the KMTV Morning Show. My name is Amos Thomas Momo. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, the stage will be set, and Madam MacDella Kopua, a very tough talking, fire burning, I call her my mother. She will be with us for the next 1 hour, 3 minutes. A short break will bring us right back.
Hi, I'm Shalom Jawari. For the best in entertainment, I want you to log down to KMTV. Yes, log down to KMTV.
For the best in information, education, and entertainment, please log down to KMTV. We are the mother of online television in Liberia, and that's the reason why KMTV is everywhere. Great to have all of you joining us. Hoping you can share this live broadcast. The political leader of the Movement for One Liberia, Madam MacDella Kopua, joined us this morning on the show. Good morning, Mother. How are you? Good to have you.
Very well. Very well, Amos. How are you?
I'm doing very, very well. We were to have our discussion on last Friday, but it didn't work up due to some engagement. It's great to have you. You look very energetic this morning. How's life going on?
Good. It's surprising because I haven't even had my coffee yet. You say I look energized, so I'm very happy to hear that.
How's life going on? How's the MOL?
Well, things are going very good. I thank God. Considering the fact that we're living through one of the toughest economic crises in our nation, things are moving in the right direction. We're hopeful. We're hopeful, and we remain hopeful and encourage the people to stay hopeful because change is coming. And so, with all of that, I feel energized to wake up every morning, just to encourage more and more people and say, look, hope is around the corner. Things are going to change very soon. Liberia will be back on its right track.
Hope is around the corner. Things are about to change very soon, and Liberia will be on the right track. Where is the MOL as it stands?
The MOL is, it's a strong one of the newest political parties on the block. But MOL is going very strong. The chairman, the SG, the entire executive committee, we have decided to, we have some incredible candidates, first of all, that's running in various districts across the country. I think we have about 34, 35 candidates or so
Oh,
running on
okay.
the party's ticket for the representative position. And we have one very good and strong woman in Bapaloo County. I'm hoping to make the next female senator of Bapaloo County the second female in a row. We have our friend and sister Botokanen, who's already sitting in a position, and we unfortunately we just lost the senator of sitting senator of Neter. I believe his name was
Yeah, yeah.
Neter.
Daniel Nitten.
Unfortunately, and yes, right, Neter, and we have a woman from the MOL, Mrs. Brown, and she's Fatuma Brown. She's a strong woman, very very strong woman. If she wins that county, Bapaloo is going to be in good hands with Botokane and Fatuma Brown.
Wow, very interesting. It means that you are not going for the presidency. You are in a particular position, but you still have candidates across Liberia. Good to know. And
Yes,
I am
the
very
movement is not producing a presidential. Sorry, Amos. The movement of One Liberia is not producing a presidential candidate for the 2023 election, but we
okay.
are carrying representative and senatorial candidates.
Oh, okay. Good to know. That's very welcoming, and I think this is the way we should go. Now, I don't want to slip this. I am very curious. Liberia is at a very difficult point. It is at a
Yes,
point where this election will determine as to whether Liberia move ahead or Liberia will remain to where it is presently. And I think we all dream for a better Liberia. On yesterday,
that's right.
um, before we come to your stand in the political space in the country where you are right now, I know you had a fire burning press conference and you told the Liberian people about your decision to go to the place you are right now. But on yesterday, the former vice president of Liberia, uh, Ambassador Joseph Yuma Boakai, appears on Truth FM and accusing
Right.
uh, uh, Mr. Yuri of asking him in some days back to put 15,000 men in the street, according to Ambassador Boakai. That was to cause chaos for the people, and he think Mr. Yuri decision was not right, and that was some of the reasons why the disenchantment from the side of Mr. Yuri came about. But from the statement on yesterday by Ambassador Boakai, what's your stand and what's your take?
Well, look, Ambassador Bokai has made, or VP Bokai has made his statement, and I think we should leave it as what he said, and he said it, and that's already in the win. I don't think I'm in a position to come and analyze what he said. Now, the conversation that was had between the incoming president Bokai and his former ally Yuri, that was a private conversation I wasn't a part of. So the idea of analyzing it today is not going to bring me any good. It's not going to do any good for anyone. He's already said it, and it's out there. It is the people now have to take it and make their own judgment call with it. But what I would say is that we have decided the movement for One Liberia, including MacDella Cooper, myself, we have decided to support the presidential bid with of Joseph Yima Boakai, and we're sticking with it. You know, we no propaganda is going to change that. We are in a direction moving forward to making sure Joseph Yima Boakai becomes the next president of the Republic of Liberia to liberate this country from the hardship that we have been under the oppressive regime of George Manawea. We have to focus on the key point, which is to make George Weah one-time president, make Joseph Boakai the next president. That's my mission. And all the side attractions, it's not going to add to the vote. It's so we don't need to waste our time with it. We're going to focus on how we're going to strategize, counteract all of these attacks that's coming from the incumbent, and make sure we win this election without them without giving them the chance to cheat us in this election, because that's what they want to do. They want to cheat. The George Weah administration wants to stay in power by all means necessary, and they're going to do that by cheating because the people don't want them. And we on this side of in the opposition bloc, we have to work together to make sure we knock out George Weah come 2023 October 10th.
Now, you talk about the opposition. Madam Cooper, you think it is a right thing for those of you in the opposition to get involved into throwing jabs, though you don't want to respond to the haughty and putting from both sides, Ambassador Boakai, and in the evening on yesterday, Mr. Yuri also said something about it. You don't want to get involved into that. But on a realistic basis, do you think, for those of you in the opposition, you should be getting involved into throwing jabs at each other in the opposition?
Not at all. We have decided we wouldn't, but sometimes the truth has to come out into a place where it needs to be come out. That's a truth between Bokai, our candidate, and Ben Uri. It was just a few months ago, 6 months to 1 year ago. They were having conversations, and I wasn't part of that conversation, so I don't want to get involved with conversations I was not a part of. Now, I think it was the great Nelson Mandela that told the U.S. government that you and I, we're friends, but your friends don't have to be my enemy, or your enemy doesn't have to be my enemy, but we have a friendship. And my focus here is that I'm here to support Joseph Boakai presidency, not Benin Yuri's or whatever Benin Yuri is saying. So look, this country is a very small country, very, very small country. We all know each other. We all want each other to do the right thing. And the right thing here between all of us, we will never see eye to eye on many things. There are so many things we'll talk about in any given day. We're not going to see eye to eye. But my interest here is Liberia and how we can move Liberia forward. I wasn't there when Benin Yuri and Joseph Boakai had that conversation. I'm not going to get involved with it. But what I will get involved with is to see how best the opposition can get over themselves and come together, and let's face the reality. The reality is, when you look at the numbers shows that Joseph Yima Boakai has the best chance, the best of all candidates who's listed, to win this election. And if we're really serious about moving Liberia forward out of the hands of George Weah's government, we have got to focus not on the little nitty-gritty things, but the big picture. Joseph Yima Boakai is the choice of the Liberian people. I knew when George Weah was the choice of the Liberian people, he got the vote from the people. But today is Joseph Boakai. So we cannot beat around the bush, even in anger or disapproved, notions. Joseph Boakai is the next president. We all got to get over it in the opposition bloc and face the fact, whether we like it or not. That is the reality.
And that is the
So
reality.
you're absolutely right, Amos.
Okay.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I'm so sorry. The reality here is that the opposition should not be throwing jab at each other. We should be in some sort of strong, unity. But I've spent ample time trying to get the opposition leaders together. There are folks who believe they got a shot. Maybe the miracles out of the heavens going to come down and turn the numbers for them. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to happen. And last time I checked, miracles like that didn't happen. But the people got to want you to be their president before you can become their president. So there are some opposition leaders who just decide they're going to run in the second round before they give their support. So that's their choice. That's their democratic right to do so. I was encouraging them, let's not do that. Let's all just run. Let's just put our support behind Boakai and move this thing forward so that we don't give the incumbent a chance to win. But they want to play on their own terms. And so that's their democratic right as well.
Okay. So Madam Cooper, you are a strong woman. You came to Liberia. You are a citizen of Liberia, though you at times go out on job purpose or purposes. But then you come back, you came back and then you observe the political terrain in the country. There are too many political parties, too many political leaders in Liberia. But among all of them, you say Mr. Boakai is the right choice. You care to tell us how the quest of endorsing Boakai came about from the start to where we are? I have seen you in almost all of the loops and corners of the country. You have been in all of the trenches telling Liberians that, well, at this point, Mr. Boakai, Ambassador Boakai is the right choice. What are those ingredients Ambassador Boakai possesses in terms of experience, in terms of running Liberia in the right trajectory? What are those things he possesses that those in the quest of retaining, or representing Liberians do not have?
Well, it's a couple of things.
Well, Ambassador Boakai is the right choice. You care to tell us how the quest of endorsing Boakai came about from the start to where we are? I have seen you in almost all of the loops and corners of the country. You have been in all of the trenches telling Liberians that, well, at this point, Mr. Boakai is the right choice. What are those ingredients Ambassador Boakai possesses in terms of experience, in terms of running Liberia in the right trajectory? What are those things he possesses that those in the quest of retaining, or representing Liberians do not have?
Look, there are a couple of things. First of all, we have to respect the will of the people. One, the will of the people decide they're going to carry Joseph Boakai. That's the first thing. Now, looking at Joseph Bokai's plan for Liberia, what is his plan for Liberia? I saw my platform. I had a platform that says I'm going to focus on the economy. I'm going to focus on education, all the low-hanging fruits, healthcare, and food security in the country, right? Border protection, which falls under rule of law. Um, Bokai has similar agenda. Bokai's focus is to create more jobs in Liberia, and I thought check mark. He wants to create jobs. How do you create jobs? Bring more people, more investors into the country. Remove all of the red tapes of doing business in this country. There are way too many red tapes that prevent investors from coming here to do business with us. And without investors coming in to do business with us, we are never going to have an economy that works. We're never going to create jobs. And so we have to focus on making sure we have a conducive environment for investment. And right now, our environment is not conducive for investment because no investor sees Liberia as attractive. Why? We have a very small economy, a very, very small economy, very small market. So an investor who wants to invest millions or trillions of dollars cannot look at Liberia because the market is way too small. And number two, if we remove all of these things that drive investors away, red tapes, the kickbacks, all these things, more investors will be attracted to Liberia because Liberia is a small market. Yes, it's high risk, but if you really think about the sectors that we have, like mining, agriculture, the attraction, tourism attraction, all these things, those are things that can attract investors to our country. I think I'm going to sneeze here for a minute. Excuse me. These are things we have to start promoting Liberia on. The part of our country resources that's globally attractive for the global market, I should say. Now, that's how we build an economy. Bring in investor, bring in money, because Liberia doesn't have money. We are rich in resources, but we don't have the liquidity, the capital to run our own sectors. And so we have to look for investment partners. That's if you want investment partners, you have to make your government transparent. What is on paper should translate into what the people meet when they come. You can't say we have we these are the rules of engagement. When the people come, you set a new rule of engagement. And so, how do we structure our economy to make it attractive? We have to get rid of we have to clean house. That's the key word Ambassador Boakai uses all the time. He has to clean house. He wants to make sure there's full accountability as to what this outgoing government will leave and what he will be inheriting. That's part of the audit process that linked to knowing what you have in your chest, in your reserve, in your central bank, or just in your budget, your national budget. So when you make the plan to revamp the economy, you know that you have 100 million, 200 million, and how much more you would need to run your first 100 days. Boakai has a plan that's massively laid out. And I know we don't have enough time on this show to talk about all the nitty-gritty details of what that economic plan entails. But the first order of his business is to create an economy by making sure this country, this government, the incoming government understands that they will need money to run the first 100 days and the first 100 years. And so within that plan, that 100 days plan is to attract investor by moving all of the things that turn investors away. You see that this government, this incumbent government, has not been able to attract investors with all of these phony videos they have trying to show Liberia got this, Liberia got that. But when the people do come, they get turned away easily because they want too much in kickbacks. And that's unattractive. Now, let's move on to the education sector. Boakai wants to see to it that Liberian children, every child born to this nation, have access to education, affordable education, not free, but affordable education. Because not all things are going to be free. Government schools under the Ministry of Education has to be free for Liberians who cannot afford private schools. And private schools has to be well equipped to take care and provide the needs, the educational needs of those who want to pay for education. But those who cannot pay, government schools should be free, but not just free in a sense. It should be there should be a quality, or should be quality education rendered to our young people, so that when they leave the school, they are prepared for job and skill training that will get them the job they need to pay them a decent salary to take care of themselves. That's the thing. That's how he wants to build the education sector. And within the education sector, now there are areas, and again, I know you don't have enough time to talk about all the nitty-gritty details, but I think sometimes the Liberian people needs to know that we know what we're talking about. So they need facts and they need data to support it. They need a plan. And these are the plans. So when I look at all of the candidates, people are talking this, people are talking that. But the first thing we have to look at is, do you have the numbers? You can have the best plan for Liberia. I hear people always say, oh, Cummings is the best guy for the job. Yeah, but Cummings doesn't have the numbers. The first thing is you must have the numbers in terms of the votability. And if you have the votability, then we start looking at your plan. You cannot say, oh, the person is the best person for the job. Yes, we understand that, but you don't have the votability. So then go and work with a person that has the votability. Don't be stubborn. Don't be stubborn. Don't think you just deserve what, because you're the best person for the job. I'm the best person for the job, but I don't have the numbers. So we support the person that has the numbers, which is Joseph Hima Boakai. Now, I don't want to get to it. Go ahead.
Yeah, so just before, let me just hold you there. When you talk about being stubborn, who you think were very stubborn and not following that person that has the number?
Look, in this election, when Liberia is at a critical crossroads where we need to rescue this country from the hands of George Weah, the urgency on all of us' mind is, how do we switch these people out of here and bring in some suitable government that will work for the Liberian people? That's the agenda. And if we can agree, we move on to the next step. Then I'll answer your question. Do we agree? Well, you
That's
can't
the
say
agenda.
that because you're
The agenda is to have a better
the-
Liberia.
to have a better Liberia. Exactly, Amos. That is it. Now, if that is the agenda, and you know you don't have the numbers, not qualification, the numbers to replace you, I mean to replace George Weah with you, then why are you trying to play a game to think that you're gonna go somewhere?
And
The
who's that
numbers
person?
don't lie. The people who don't have the 45% that Joseph Yema Boakai has, there are 20 candidates in the race. They all don't have the numbers. They don't. Cummings don't have the numbers. Cummings is a wonderful man. He's my brother and friend. He does not have the number to get the win. Tiawan Gongo does not have the number to get the win. Who else is there? Simeon Freeman does not have the number. Who's Monuba, the young Monuba? He doesn't have the numbers. So they're participating in an election. And at this critical crossroads, I didn't feel the need to participate because Liberia needs serious people to focus on liberating this country out of the hands of this government. And so I don't want to make people feel bad on the show, but that's just the reality. When we did a national opinion polls and survey that was not manipulated in anyone's favor, because there's all this manipulated polling that's showing around here. People are saying, oh yeah, look at my numbers. That's so la. That's so la. The Liberian people, you go on the street, right? They ask the Oma who's standing better, but Oma, who you voting for? The Oma will tell you the truth. You ask the Papa who's sitting on the side, well, we ain't getting nothing to eat today. Papa will tell you the truth. And Papa, they're not reading those surveys that say, look at those surveys are being conducted for people who can read newspapers. And how can a newspaper online? First of all, you gotta pay for internet. You gotta have pay for data. Then you gotta be able to read a message. Then you gotta understand how many people in this country have we given that privilege to even afford data to say they come and go do survey online. So both foolishness there. You got a handful of us who can read and write, who are educated. We get bad data. We can say if a computer to go do surveys. Very few of us, less than 10% now of the country can do that thing. So I don't know where they're getting these surveys from the foolishness that's saying they got the chance to win in this country.
Now, Madam Cooper, you are now with the Unity Party. You had a fire-burning press conference and laying all of the reasons why you, as the political leader of the Movement for One Liberia, is supporting the presidency of Mr. Boakai. What are those new ideas you are coming to the party with? I have been very focused. I have been, very engaged in following your activities on a serious note. You have been very vocal. You have been very engaged with telling the people exactly this is the way we need to go, and that is the way, and this way is not best for us. But tell us those ideas. What are those things you're telling Mr. Boakai that when he's elected, Liberia will be a better place for all of us?
First of all, Honorable Bokai is much older than I am. He's been around in Liberia for a much longer time than I have been. And he's a very wise man. Bokai to most of us are like, he's like a father. And when you listen to him talk about this country and his ideas, because it's not about MacDella Cooper ideas. I'm not the leader here. I'm the leader for the movement for One Liberia in collaboration and alliance with the United Party and other parties like MDR, the Economic Freedom Fighters, and Liberty Party led by Yomni Kanga Lawrence, the incredible Yomni Kanga Lawrence, my girl, my diehard, ride and die. Me and that woman, we just killing it, man. We just killing it. And Botokane, don't leave Botokane out too. Another heart, sister who in the trenches with us. Now, so we all look at Bokai as a father, and he knows a lot. He knows a lot about this country, what needs to be done. Bokai is a person who has the advantage. When I talk to a lot of my elders, I love the elders because I was raised by my great grandmother in the interior, and my great grandmother and my great grandfather. We live on a farm in Webble, and so I have a liking for older people. And when you sit with older people, you gain a lot of wisdom from them. And so being around Bokai, when he talks about Liberia, he talks about Liberia with a passion, with everything. It's like you meet someone who has this dimmer of light, that's just oozing out of him when he talks about this country and where he wants to see this country and why he walked from Lofa County all the way to Monrovia, Montserrado, just to seek an opportunity. And he has friends in all parts of Liberia. I talk to my elder sometimes, and they would tell me, "Oh yeah, Bokai and I went to school together." I said, "Really? I didn't know that." Sometimes people try to sell Bokai as this guy from the interior, and but Bokai went to school with all of my elders, And I say this because, to your question, he knows Liberia, both from the interior side and from what we call the so-called civil side. He knows both. He can bridge both worlds and bring peace to our country. Yes, but he also is a person who's no nonsense. The old people, they ain't got time for nonsense. If you talk nonsense, then they'll put you right in your place. And that's Bokai because he's like a father. My Ellen was the same way. My Ellen, she was smart where she would laugh for you, but you bring nonsense to her, she would just tell you right away that nonsense. And she's not tolerating nonsense. And because at their age, they've seen it all, they've done it all. And all all he wants, Bokai wants, is a future for this country. He talks about my future all the time. He talks about the future of the young people all the time. How can Liberians access healthcare, even those who come from zero income families? That's what he's talking about. So when he said, what's a new idea? I've never sat with anyone who talked about healthcare for those from zero income families. He talks about education for every child born to this country. What are you? Your parents got money or your parents don't have money? Irrespective of your political background, you must have education so that when you reach that adult age, in Liberia, the constitutional adult age is 18 years old. I've seen many 18 years old who've never been in a schoolhouse. They can't read and write. How are they supposed to read the Bible and the Quran if they're Muslim? How are they supposed to read the Constitution? How are they supposed to read the Constitution and understand their rights as a citizen of this republic? And how are they supposed to read the laws? How do you sue? How do you give a rate to a person who can't read a rate? What do they do? Is this? Oh gosh, what is the word I'm looking for? I'm stuck for words now. I'm not. Disservice to this country. It will leave our citizens uneducated.
It is disservice to the country. It will leave our citizens uneducated. Madam Cooper, that's what could be, because many Liberians think that Madam Cooper is from the United States. All of her words, the way we can see the woman can speak series. So taking for example, going to a place like Grand Jide, going to
Right.
a place like Maryland, how do you
Right.
how do you
Translate.
break it down to the simplest, people who are there that would not understand the series and the rest of it?
Look, the reality is everybody understand me when I speak in this country. But if you say
Okay.
we want to speak our colloquial, don't forget now, Amos, I was raised in Yankin until I was
Okay.
close to 10 years of age. Before I even came to Monrovia to see life for the first time in my life, I was almost 10 years old. I had
Oh, okay.
one pair of shoes that I wore to school. You take your shoe, you put it on your head, or if it's raining, you put it on your uniform so your shoe can get wet. Eh? Your
Mhm.
book. That's how you go to school. I grew up in the interior until I was almost 10 years of age. I came to Montreal in 1984. By 1989, 1990, the war came. We were pushed into exile. So from 1984 to 1990, that's 6 years right there. That is the amount of time I spent in Montreal. I spent more time in the interior than I did. But you know what? Because of the war, we're pushed into exile. When you travel the world, I went to Ivory Coast as a refugee. I stayed in a refugee camp in Ivory Coast. I stayed in Ivory Coast for 2 years. I mean, 2.5 years to be exact. It was November 1993 that I finally get a visa to go to America. So let me go back. In the Ivory Coast, I speak French perfectly.
Okay.
In America, I can enter anywhere and speak to anybody, whether you president or whether you the person selling hot dog on the street. I'm the person who can speak to anybody in this world. I know some Italian. I can speak Italian as well. And now I started to learn small Arabic and Russia because the Arabs, the Middle East and Russia now heavily involved in geopolitics, and they always have been, but now it's even on a more increased level. I'm a person who is a global citizen, hails from the Republic of Liberia, Yankin to be exact. So when people say, "Oh, they won't come from America," take me to Europe. I speak a European language there too, because we have to prepare ourselves for the challenges outside, and that's how we come home now to better the lives of the young people so they can be better than us. Everything I learned, I want young people in this country to be better than me so that they can also have better opportunity than me. That is how I see this country. And that is why I fight for this
It,
country to make sure we have a leadership in place that will help us in the process.
we're going to have it a little bit entertaining, but it comes with a lot of education. I want to have a try, and I want to speak a little bit of Kulukwa, but I will ask you a question, and I want you to speak it in our simple, the simple way we talk.
Right.
I will speak Kulukwa as well. The Liberian people say that Jowia say the election will be one round. Jowia and people didn't say the election will be one round, right? But we have 20 people that will say they want to be president. And the percentage you
Right.
need, the amount of vote you need from the NEC say you must get 50% plus one. Now Jowia say the
That's
election
right.
year will be one round. You think the CDC people talking it can work in this
Well,
country? Yeah, go ahead.
one round victory will never be possible in the country. One round victory will never be possible. If one round victory is possible, it will come from the opposition side, from Joseph Bokai, the rescue mission. But for Joe, we had to look at us and say one round victory is possible. For look at Joe, we need to look at his numbers. One thing George Weah can sit in front of the CDC on the CDC stage there and say anything to the people, and the people they for him they will celebrate. But those are people in the CDC ground. You don't see some of us going CDC ground and say, "Oh, the president said one grand victory." No, one round victory is not possible in this country with 20 candidates and 46 registered parties. If parties have built collaboration with George Weah, then that's understandable. If you have out of the 46 parties, you have more than half going his way. But you got to put everyone that owns that campaign. You got 20 candidates in the rating and say one round victory. It's not possible. It's not possible. So that thing you talking that air in it, that I don't know what you call it, dust in the air talking. That dust in the
That's
air.
lying.
Because where would you gotta get the vote to go get one round victory? They try in the country. When I be so
So when you talk about it will not be easy, what you think they are trying to do? Because it is difficult, for a one round victory, right? And so what are those means? If once you have one round, if the CDC should have one round, what are those means you think they're going to have it through?
well, let's start with the BVR process. The BVR process, they try to hijack the BVR process by putting this illegitimate process in place. right? You do first 6 counties, you go to the next county, the next county. It was a joke. Most of the people that want to get registered didn't get registered. And the intelligence that we have now is that they have a few of those machines at the CDC party headquarters producing extra voting cards. And they're going to infuse those voting cards with people in different areas, maybe bring people across the border to come and vote with those voting cards. That was the earlier intelligence we got. The next thing they want to do is to turn the internet off on election day so that we will not be able to transmit our information as we get the result to our base, to our war room. And then in the transmission of the reports, they will increase the CDC numbers. CDC number. The same thing they were doing at the party headquarters when Darius Dillon beat Thomas Fowler like a stepchild. So on Market Row, they were announcing numbers that was not legitimate numbers, but they were doing it to play around with the minds of the people. But the only people that were in our CDC again was the seditions. So it was the seditions that were doing disservice too. They weren't doing disservice to some of us because we were following the reports. And so they want to cheat, they want to steal the election by putting up a false or fraudulent, I should say, BVR process. And number two, turn the internet off on election day, get a paramilitary group to disrupt the election, and then in the transmission of the voting results from the district level or the precinct level all the way onto the district and then to the mean level, the mean hub is to play with the numbers. Is to play with the numbers, and we already got all of that intelligence, and we're going to counter it. So we know what they're going to do, because the problem with the CDC there, everything is brought to the public.
Okay, now everything is brought to the public that our last war. And this morning we having on the show here as our guest, Madam MacDella Kopo. She comes from the Movement for One Liberia, and she's the political leader. And now supporting the Unity Party, Ambassador Joseph Newman Boakai as president of the Republic of Liberia comes 2023. According to her, the masses have said where Ambassador Boakai is best suited, he can represent Liberia. And from her survey and her opinion pool so far, putting Mr. Boakai, or Ambassador Boakai, sorry, in a very, very better position to lead Liberia. And anything different in terms of the CDC winning the election in the first round, it will not be acceptable, because you have 20 political parties and you need 50 plus 1 vote to win the election across Liberia. This is the KMTV Morning Show. My name is AMOS Thomas MOMO. And Madam MacDella Cooper, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, AMOS. It's good to be here with you this morning.
Okay, how is it going?
Very well, very well. We're very excited. Today we have a campaign rally in District Number 11. We'll be visiting District Number 11 with our candidate this afternoon. And we're looking forward to that. The people of Liberia are coming out to see their next president. They're coming out in the numbers to see the next president. Our campaign rally, Bokai's campaign rallies, are massively filled with enthusiastic people who really are ready for change, real change. Now there's a hope for change that never came. But they know that Boakai is the one that's going to liberate this country from the hands of this corrupt government. So we're excited about that.
Okay, you're so excited about everything you said. Now, we will talk about violence. As we move to this election, we all anticipate a free, fair, and transparent, plus a violent-free election. A few days back, you had this. You spoke with regret, because I saw the regret in your face. I was there at the rescue center of the Unity Party, and you were very blunt on some of those actions you guys from the Unity Party having planned in terms of retaliating any violence that will come about. You would tell us exactly what your stand on violence. Your political leader picture was seen on a casket paraded in the street of Monrovia by seditions, and I think there where anger came. But we'll bring you a short excerpt of Madam MacDella Cooper at the grounds of the headquarters of the Unity Party. Following that, Madam MacDella Cooper will also be giving us a stand on violence as we move to this election. It is while the technical guys are working on it. I think uh, that's the statement. It was very strong from Madam Cooper, and I will want to talk a little bit on it. As we move to this election on that Friday, that was on the Thursday. It was a very tense Thursday there in District Number 9. And I think as we move to this election, we all should be uh, praying for a free, fair, and transparent, plus a violent-free election. And so, Madam Cooper made a statement at the rescue center of the Unity Party. Hoping we can bring that before Madam Cooper can talk about violence. But Madam Cooper, as the guys are getting ready to put up that video, what's your take on? Okay.
We have witnessed the limit of CDC. They have shown to us how useless and incompetent they are. For them to have been a casket for minding and making on their mission. We must go to the polls and vote for you to say even better than no other person. Because we are showing John we are a disrespectful attitude towards our country. There are never people within this country. That's what you need. You will need. We are not talking. We must do it. Jawel claim he's not a good person. What did Jawel not tell you not do it for the way? Jawel not told you not do it for the way. Respectful man. He's a decent human being. He's a person who respects human rights. But some of us who step our cheek will slap your own. John Manuel, you slap your cheek will slap your own. And that's it, you can't get.
The next time you carry casket, we will carry ours. When you slap our cheek, we will do same. Madam Cooper, tell us what you make of that statement. Where your anger came? You muted, Madam Cooper. I'm not getting you.
No, sorry. I was just saying that it wasn't anger, it was excitement. It was excitement because the CDC have branded themselves as the party of lack of respect for rule of law. They would do things as they please. They will create a library that they want, irrespective of the history, the 176 years of history we have in this country. Even though some of it was amended, right? Things were changed, constitution was changed, but the history we have in this country, the constitution we have in this country, they will start at they will do it as they please, and it's not a country we're going to accept because we have people who lost their lives in building this nation. We have people who designed this flag, and we got to respect their legacy. We're not going to allow the CDC, the government to come in and destroy the fabric of our nation. They've already destroyed our political life of this country. They've destroyed our economy. They destroy our infrastructure. We're not going to allow them to destroy every fabric of our nation. And so they think violence will be the day. You wake up in the morning, they can do anything, they can kill anybody in cold blood. and people can go missing. Then when the country rises up and asks questions, the president say, "You go get CC camera or CCTV." How many people in Liberia can afford CCTV? How many people can even afford scratch card per day? And your solution to the people's problem is to go get CC camera? That's a mockery to the Liberian people. We've never seen a president who would do such a thing. Even during the 80s, during the time when we claimed we had a dictatorship here, you never heard Samuel Doe say, "You go get CCTV." Because you have to respect the people of the country. That is why they gave you their votes and their will, and for you to turn it into a nation that works for them, because they feel that you have a plan. And so my comment on the United Party, the Rescue Mission Center the other day, it was a clear message sent to say the Liberia you want to create, we will not accept it. Because we don't, first of all, a baby comes to the world, looks in their mother and father eyes, and they follow the instruction because they respect. If the child don't respect, they don't follow you. They will disobey you. We don't respect the way they want to run our country. We don't respect how they're leading us, so we cannot follow them. Their leadership style they bring it to the table, we don't want it. And we are the citizens of this country saying, no. You cannot use violence as a way to intimidate us, because we're not accepted. Because as my Kenneth said, George Weah has to understand that he doesn't have monopoly over violence. We all know how to create violence, but we decide to be peaceful under the rule of the state of the nation and the rule of law. So don't be fooled because we, the citizens, decide to follow the law. You think you're the leader, you're not following the law, and we're going to keep you as a leader? Absolutely not, dear. It will never happen, Joe Manawea. It will not happen. It will not happen.
You are very careful always with the incompetency of this president leadership. You care to be very clear on some of your disagreement with the governance system of the leadership under President Weah. Madam Cooper, you getting me?
Yes, I'm getting very well. There's a little glitch in the internet, but I'm
Okay,
getting
so
you.
I was saying you care to tell us exactly, because you always pointing out, I mean, saying that this government is incompetent. The leadership of President Weah is incompetent, and I think our followers are very curious to know on today. Can you outline few of the disagreement you have with this government?
You're absolutely right, Amos. And let me start with the basic things. A government is put into place to govern the people, the land, and that is every corner of this nation is under the leadership of the government that is now in place. A government is not there just to support and create a nation or agencies of government to work for those that supported them. No. So let's go back to the Constitution. This particular Weah-led administration does not understand what leadership is about, what governance is about. They don't seem to understand it because they want to create a structure in our governing system that is not what our Constitution permits. So they're breaking our Constitution. When we go to read a Constitution, we read our leaders should be doing this, and that, and they're doing totally something opposite. And we cannot accept it. By now, George Weah needs to be impeached for all the theft of resources, his lack of political will to be a strong leader that demands answers on some of these things that's happening in the country. He can't sit at Jamaica and do whatever thing he does there on his own and leave the country to be governed by people who are not elected into power. We didn't ask for Nathaniel McGill to lead us. We didn't ask for Samuel Twell to lead us. We didn't ask for all of those who he's trying to get to lead us to lead us. The people went to the polls through the democratic process, the constitutional process to vote for George Weah. They felt he had a solution to their problem, nation problems. And he has decided, I don't want, y'all elected me, y'all thank you, but I don't want the job. So I'll put the job in other people's hands. And that's not right. George Weah should be impeached by now. So when I talk about incompetency, a leader does not take the nation that was given to him or her and give it to somebody else. And you blame those people for your shortcomings. And Weah has a lot of shortcomings. All of the financial theft that has taken place in the country, the loss of resources, Weah has to be the one to answer for that. the education sector is not working because there's no money for the education sector. He has to answer for that. He's the one who's the commander in chief.
We are having a little glitches in the internet, hoping it can be solved shortly. She's Madam MacDella Cooper. She's the political leader of the Women for One Liberia, now supporting the presidential bid of former Vice President Joseph Yuma Boakai. Madam Cooper, can you come on? I think you much better now. Madam Cooper, are you there? Madam Cooper, are you there? So if you're listening, Madam Cooper, can you just go off and come on? Then I think it will work up because there are some little bit of glitches within the internet. Hoping you can just go off and come on, and it will be okay. And so you listen to Madam Cooper there on the show this morning. This is the KMTV morning show, and she's Madam MacDella Cooper. She's the political leader of the Movement for One Liberia. She spoke about violence. She talked about the incompetency of this government. What are those new ideas she's bringing to the Unity Party? What are those the things you want to see done in Liberia? She was also very careful on what are those things Liberians need, and those ones when Mr. Boakai or Ambassador Boakai is elected will bring forth to Liberia. And there you listen to her on the show here this morning. This is the KMTV morning show. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, I think she's back now, but we'll take just give it a break. When we come back, we'll welcome back Madam MacDella Cooper. 11:30, we'll call it a day here on the morning show. Welcome back to the show. This is the KMTV Morning Show. My name is AMOS Thomas MOMO. Madam Cooper, welcome back to the show. I think it's still giving some issue. Okay. Welcome back to the show, Madam Cooper. You getting me?
Yes, I think.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Are you there? The internet is actually not doing well for us this morning, but we're hoping that she can come back. We still have few minutes to go, roughly 4 minutes, and we will wrap it up with Madam Cooper here this morning on the show. But you been following, we want to say thank you. You listened to the accusation from Ambassador Joseph Yuma Boakai to uh, Mr. Ure on yesterday, and Mr. Ure also came in defense lately on yesterday evening on the closing argument. And Madam Cooper joined us at 11:30, and she's been very, very careful with some of her words. She spoke directly to the issue. She talked about violence. She talked about the incompetency of this government. She talked about what are those new ideas she have brought to the Unity Party. She'll also talk about new ideas and then new ideology they're going to bring when Mr. Boakai or Ambassador Boakai is elected as president of the country, and lots of other things she talked about. Still here, we need to talk on the NEC on operation. What are those things you think the NEC needs to work on? What are some of our fear in terms of the proceeding of the NEC? She talked about, I think you've been listening to her talking about the voter registration process, how free, fair, and transparent she is hoping that this election should be, and the rest of it. I don't know what's going on. If she can come back, so we wrap it up, it will be a good one. But if not, we will have to call it a day here on the show. We're still here awaiting Madam MacDella Cooper. I think at I stand right now, Mr. Alexander Benedict Cummins is right now in district number 10 around the Oro area. He has started his own community or district engagement. Previously, I told you about the legislative election that is slated for the 25th of August 2023. That will be just right after Flag Day. And so that election will be held in the rotunda of the Honorable House of Representatives. We have two candidates so far vying for the presidency, Gerard of Front Page Africa and Haji Masale of Spoon Network. The two individuals are vying to be president for Legispool. Legispool is the legislative press pool. It means those journalists that covers the both houses, the House of Senate and that of the Honorable House of Representatives. Will go to the polls on the 25th of August to elect a new leader. And so, yeah, the campaign activities is on, and we're hoping that it will go very good. I'm not sure we can still have Madam Cooper 21 minutes to, and that's 21 minutes past 11 o'clock. At 11:30, we have to leave here. And so, as a stand, we're going to take another break. Just as she's pop up, we'll come back and then we'll call it a day here with Madam Cooper. She's already here. Let's see if we can get her on again. Madam Cooper, great to have you back. Madam Cooper, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here. I can hear you.
There were
I,
some
but
little glitches in the internet. We're very sorry. This is the country, and this is where we are.
that's it.
Okay. I will want you to give me your take on the proceeding of the NEC, looking at the beginning with the voter registration process, the violence that is taking place. The violent activities is not only in Montserrat, Madam Cooper. It is in almost all of the
Yes.
losing corners in the country. In the various counties, there are violence of campaign violence, electoral violence. And as it stands, the NDC is yet to make an official statement on some of
Yep.
those violent activities that is taking place across the country, particularly the one that took place in District 9, where people got
Yep.
injured majorly. Some of those individuals lost their ears, and some of those were
Right.
badly wounded, and the NEC is yet to make a statement on it. As we move to this election, looking at the proceeding of the National Elections Commission, the body that is so responsible for electioneering activities in the country, what's your take? Is there any fear you think there will be free, fair, and transparent elections comes October 10th, violent, free one?
We are going to demand it. That's all we can do as citizens of this country. We will demand our election be operated in a free and fair manner. We
Okay.
are not going to allow the appointees of George Manawea to come and disrupt our democratic process by hijacking it in the favor of their boss. It's not gonna work. Are you there, Amos?
I'm very
Are
well
we
here.
together? Are we there?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And so yes, you're absolutely right. We after signing the Farmington Declaration Agreement, there's still the ruling party. Most of the violence that happening in this country is not coming from the opposition, it's coming from the ruling party. And so people need to just address that. And in the international world, we say the big elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about. The big elephant in the room is that the only people who are disrupting the peace that the ruling party is CDC. But no one wants to say it, and that if you don't identify the problem, we'll never find a solution to it. Until we can clearly state that CDC is responsible for most of the violent actions across the country, how are we gonna find a solution? So NEC is afraid of CDC because they're hired and paid for by of course, the Liberian government is paying them, but because they were appointed by George Weah, so they feel they have to work at the will and pleasure of George Weah. But that is not. That's why we're gonna demand a free and fair election. We're gonna go to the polls, and the citizens of this great country would be. Sorry.
No, just end up. Then
Go ahead,
I
Amos.
come with the last. Yeah. So, what kind of election you want to see comes October 10th?
First of all, we want to make sure our people can go to the polls, especially the centers that were assigned that's on the list should be the centers where we go to vote. And when we get there to vote, all eligible voters should cast a vote. People who are not eligible voters should not cast vote in our election. This whole idea of trucking, which was done during the BVR process, we're not going to accept that because we who live in our communities, we know who's in the communities. Of course, we don't know everybody in the community, but people know people and will be there to be poll watchers on election day. I myself, MacDella Cooper, will be a poll watcher on election day. There's no doubt about that. But let me talk about the violence against my own party, my own institution. Now, political parties have a rule on given to us by election laws that political parties should try to have a certain distance between two parties. CDC decided they would take their campaign office and put it right in front of my party office. I wrote letters to the election commission. I'm yet to receive response from the chair or from the commission. Now, that's something that should be addressed because I'm a woman in politics. I'm a very vocal and strong woman in this country. My life and my safety is at risk, but no one is responding to it right now. I've sent a conversation piece to several individuals in this country. People are aware of it, and they're aware of what they're doing. I even called people in the ruling establishment, but the answer, the response to me was I should take a back road to go to my office if I don't feel safe passing by where the CDC put the campaign office. But that's why I said on that recording you play on your show, if they come at me, I will come at them. There's a thing called self-defense in this country. Self-defense. And the rest will be talked about later on. So let them put the campaign office right in of all the buildings CDC have access to. They didn't have to put their campaign office in front of my building. They didn't have to. But they want to provoke. They want to provoke the same way how they'll try to provoke Joseph Boakai by carrying a casket with his picture on it. They like to provocate. They like to provoke. But you know when you provoke the sleeping dog for too long, it can stand up and bite your hair off.
Now, shortly we will wrap up with just a few minutes. I think 2 or 3 minutes to go. I want to ask the question. Many people think that the Unity Party is a broke party. They do not have money. Election needs money. You're talking about pool washer. You're talking about getting campaign done and the rest of it. You are going to the Unity Party. What are mechanisms you people are putting in place to have pool washer to all of the centers with no money and getting campaign to all of the districts and counties with no money? Where are we?
Oh, Unity Party has the Rescue Mission has money to run its campaign. No one should be fooled. And let me go back to 2017. 2017, CDC didn't have money. CDC was struggling to make it, but the people decided they were going to carry CDC, and they carried CDC irrespective of whether they have money or not. Today, CDC decided to use cash violence in this election. Talking about they got $5 million set aside to bribe our poll watchers. Our poll watchers are people who are not looking for money. I'm a poll watcher. MacDella Cooper is a poll watcher. Everybody in my family are poll watchers. All of the important people in the rescue mission are poll watchers. All of us going to be poll watching. You think anybody from CDC able to can't give me money to take Joseph Boakai vote away? Because a vote for Joseph Boakai is a freedom for this country. It's democracy. It's strengthening democracy for this country. There's no way we can sell those birthrights or those constitutional rights, I should say. So I would be a poll watcher at my polling station. My security would be there. All my bodyguards would be there. So where in the world? So of course, yes, in the interior, we're in the interior, we're yonder. The people are not going to have bodyguards and all those things, but we have credible people who will be watching the polls for us. So CC would not steal this election from the opposition. And so for people who say, the people who say we don't have money to run election, to put poll watchers, we're going to put poll watchers in every polling station across this country. The only place where not have poll watchers if they make some kind of fake station where they go stuff ballot at that nobody knows about. It's not on the official list. But we'll check and see where votes are coming from because those things have to be sealed. And there can be no ballot boxes counted without seals. And so we know the process. Just like Iman Boka was in government before.
Thank you so very kindly, Madam Cooper. It's
ahead.
always been a wonderful time talking to you. Whenever we have conversation, I think there are new things learned, and the people in the country feel very okay with your conversation. I think it is a wonderful moment again in Liberia, and we're hoping that we can have this conversation every time. Finally, thank you so much. Is there anything you wanted to touch on that we didn't talk about?
No, thank you, Amos. It was wonderful to be here with you. And I promise you next time I'll get my Kolokwa down good for you.
Thank you so very kindly. Madam MacDella Cooper is the political leader of the Movement for One Liberia, and she joined us this morning for an hour on the KMTV morning show. Lots of education, lots of information from the Unity Party, from the MOL, her disenchantment and disagreement with the ruling Coalition for Democratic Change, and lots of other things. She spoke on violence, she spoke on corruption, good education, good health, and the rest of it. My name is Amos Thomas MOMO. Tomorrow we'll be here on another presentation of the KMTV morning show. Hoping tomorrow we can come here and I'm trying to bring someone, a representative candidate, hoping that will be Prince Kwepla. He comes from District 12, Montserrat County. And if all goes well, he will sit with us here for an hour again to talk those issues that matter for the people of District 12. Until tomorrow, we'll be back here. My name is Amos Thomas MOMO, bidding you a wonderful time. Bye-bye.